Today, I want to talk about it kind of goes along with feelings and it kind of goes along with what we have talked about recently. But this is in regards to like the 50-50 of life. So you have the 50% positive and the 50% negative. That is just the way of the world. That is how our emotions work. But there's also an equal airtime that I like to talk about too. So I heard this from my coach Brooke a long time ago, and she talked about how if you are going to think about, the negative for 50% of the time, you have to think about the positive for the other 50% of the time too. That's kind of how you get that 50-50 on purpose versus the possibility of thinking bad 80% of or negative 80% of the time and positive 20% of the time. So I want to talk more about this, especially in today's world. Like, that is what we talk about, the modern world. It is very different for bringing up our babies compared to when our parents brought us up. And it's going to be different for every generation to come because that's the way of the world. It's always changing, it's always going to happen. So, we are talking about, though, our modern world and how there is like some truth to the fact that it is kind of scary bringing up our babies in today's world. However, that's kind of like that 50% negative that we don't necessarily want to dwell on all of the time. And I think so many of us do a really good job of not dwelling on that, like negative 50% and how scary it is to raise our babies in the world. But we really need to focus on the equal airtime of that positive side of things and how like this is the most exciting time to bring up our babies. Like, it really is. I feel that on such a deep level. This is going to sound so cheesy, but like I literally just got chills thinking like this is such an exciting time to have Kai come into this world because I just know like deep down that she is going to do amazing things. Like, I think we all do this. Do we all like think about what our kids are going to be when they grow up and we're like, "Oh, they're totally going to be an interior designer." Because that's me. I'm literally like, "No, for sure. She's going to be like the biggest best. She's either going to be like an architect or an interior designer or something. Like, her name is going to be somewhere." And I mean, I have no idea. She could be whatever she wants to be, but I just like am so genuinely excited for her to grow up in today's world because there are so many opportunities that there weren't in the past. So, I'm going to think about that just as much as I think about the scaries and the things that I like don't necessarily like want to have on my mind all of the time, but like the radio, the TV, like whatever it is that's in the background is trying to like make me think about those. So, equal airtime. You want to think about this truth that it is scary to raise our babies in today's world, but you also want to think about this truth, which is it is very exciting to raise our babies in today's world. So, we really want to focus on that equal airtime, making sure that we're thinking about both equally because both are equally true. And that's another thing that I love to like do for myself. Like, let's talk husbands. I It's very easy for me to try and change the way my husband is parenting. Like, I will look at him and I'm like, "Oh, can you like not do that? Can you not say that to her? Like, oh, I don't want her to internalize that. Like, I know you're joking, but she doesn't know you're joking." Right? Like, do that all the time. But as often as I do that, I need to give the other side equal airtime, meaning I need to also be thinking and telling him and saying out loud that I think what he's saying to her is perfect. It's exactly what he should be saying to her. It's what she needs to hear. Like, all of it, I'm like, okay, everything that I just thought of that was like demeaning what my husband is doing, I also want to think the opposite because the opposite is equally true. Like, even though I'm like really certain that he shouldn't have said that to her, I'm like, no, maybe that's exactly what she needed to hear in that moment. like, who am I to say that it's not? Who am I to say that that's not how he should, you know, present that sentence to her? But it makes my day so much better because I'm like, okay, I gave him, not the best feedback on what he just did. But I also then turned it around and was like, however, that was possibly exactly what she needed. And I can think that and I can believe that just as much as the latter. So, equal airtime in your life, equal amount of positive, equal amount of negative, and you will feel like you're living a better, more full life because you're feeling all of the things, not just one, and not just paying attention to one side of it all the time. So, that's what I have for you today. Have a beautiful day.